It's very laid back. It reminds me a lot of some of the earlier conventions that we would have. Beautiful country, beautiful everything over here.
What's there, it's about who you're with, or it's about how much fun you can make, or what new friends you make when you're in an event like that.
I'm here at Vapefest. Obviously we've got the marvellous Flitzy has come across from the States to have a little time over here in the UK, as well as finish up with Vapefest. So he's very kindly agreed to come and have a chat and give us some impressions and all that sort of stuff. Not actual impressions, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so thank you very much for joining us, buddy.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit, what have you been up to since you've been here this week?
I have, we'll see, this is actually coming up on ending 2 weeks abroad. I started in Inverness and spent 2 days at Loch Ness, and then went down to Edinburgh, spent a day there, and then from there I went to Felixstowe, and from Felixstowe I went to Seaford near Brighton, and that friend took me to see Stonehenge.
Nice.
And then went back, and then went to London for a couple of days, and then from London came here.
It's been a busy time.
It's been a very busy time, and I kind of feel like I've seen, you know, I mean, like I was at the tippy top of Scotland,
yeah,
all the way to the very bottom of England. So I think I've squeezed in a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah,
or
definitely.
just under 2 weeks. So
it's a hellish amount. Yeah. And you're flying back today?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you're at Vapefest. Obviously, this is one that a lot of people have talked to you about. What's been your sort of overall impressions of it?
It's very laid back.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of some of the earlier conventions that we would have, where everybody kind of knows everybody, everybody kind of talks to everybody. It's very community oriented. It's very familial, that everybody, you know, gets along, and everybody's like, we went to dinner last night and there's probably 60 people there,
yeah,
and that very rarely ever happens anymore in the States. Kind of because, I mean, some of it's, there's no venue that can hold that many people, but a lot of times everybody kind of splits into their own groups, kind of does their own thing, not really like niche-y and clicky and all that. It's just everybody kind of has their group of friends they go out with, and
well, and also you can't have a conversation on a table of 60 people, can you? You have to have these smaller groups.
Yeah. So it's very cool to see everybody just kind of coming together as one big happy vapey family.
Yeah.
So and everybody over here is super, super nice. Everybody, I mean, strangers in the streets, everything. Like, this entire country has just been amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the things I imagine being here at Fest is that it will accommodate some of your personal vaping, because you're not a low nick vapor, are you?
Right.
What are you vaping at the moment?
I'm actually vaping Cactus Punch, and it's a 12.
A 12.
I used to do a lot of 24, 18. I have dropped a little bit, not really, not because of the nicotine or anything, just because you kind of get a little more flavor with the lower. But yeah, I still have 24. I still keep all that stuff on hand. Just it's the sensation. Like it's not even like the nicotine requirement. It's just because I get that a lot too. It's like, well, just slowly wean yourself down. Like I don't need to, and I don't want to.
No, exactly. And also, I mean, you've been in vaping forever.
Yeah.
I mean, when did you start?
February 19th of 2009.
That's a long time.
So just over 8 years now.
And are you seeing this sort of cyclical thing? Like back in the day, you mentioned earlier on about a squonker that you had from 2010.
Yeah.
Are you seeing a lot of these things kind of cycle around with like mech mods and squonkers now? And it's
one of those really interesting things that squonking, and some people still call it bottom feeding. A lot of it started out as bottom feeder mods, and it's kind of, it comes and goes. Like it's come around 4 or 5 times, I think, in the past several years, and it'll pick up and then it'll kind of die down again. It'll pick up and it'll kind of die down again. But I think this is the longest I've seen it stick around. Because I think a lot of addy makers are making atomizers that are able to squonk. And people are actually making mods. And so I think it has a little bit more of a foothold now than it ever has in the past. And it's interesting because, like, even a tank, you know, like with a replaceable coil, is essentially a cartomizer tank. That it's that very basic design that somebody was like, hey, if I punch holes in this, because it's already got cotton in it, punch holes and put liquid around it, it's going to constantly keep it soaked up. And I mean, that's literally all it is, except with airflow. So it's, and I've actually had that conversation a lot probably this week, is that I don't know what else we can do. Like, I don't know if, you know, I don't know that we're at the pinnacle of everything, but I don't know that there's anything new, and like there's no technological breakthrough to say we can vape this way, because I mean it's always just been wire and liquid.
And now we've kind of got to that level of the top of the power race. You know, I mean, now we've far exceeded that now. So you know, now it's mainly aesthetics and how small can you get a mod, and you know, people are worrying about that kind of thing now.
Yeah, because I don't see any, I mean, unless there's something amazing and magical that somebody comes up with, I don't know that we're going to have any other, you know, breakthrough in how we can vaporize liquid.
No, absolutely. And I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, obviously we're pursuing other sort of avenues as much as we can, but still we have the restriction of regulations in each country and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, vaping's here to stay, isn't it? I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to be a bit adapted.
Yeah, it's, and it, I mean, yeah, it's a really tricky thing. I mean, I think in the States, we, from what I've understood, because I've been gone, I haven't kept up with anything, but we just recently had a change with the FDA thing that I think they pushed the date back another 4 years or so, which a lot of people see that as a win, and a lot of people see that as no difference, because we still don't get anything new. It really just gives them more time to do all the paperwork. And so it's kind of a, you know, I don't really know what to make of it yet. I try not to be too pessimistic about stuff, but it could just be prolonging it. I mean, it could be prolonging the inevitable. That, you know, they may still have the mind that they want to get rid of everything, and they're still demonizing nicotine. I mean, I saw some stuff that they want to try to get nicotine out of cigarettes, out of tobacco cigarettes, and that people are still going to smoke. You know, but it's like,
still all the rest of the carcinogens that are in there.
Like, it's still just, I mean, it's not. It's really weird that we can't seem to get past that whole roadblock of like how terrible nicotine is, and it's not. And like that's the thing. So I mean, so it could just be prolonging. Like maybe they're going to take the next 4 years to demonize nicotine even further, which could be really bad for us.
I think the positive thing in the UK is that there's always been public opinion has been against us.
Yeah.
Whereas now there is an article in one of the tabloid newspapers, I think last week or the week before, and it was actually the first positive tabloid article that I've seen on vaping, which shows that they've been starkly against vaping before then.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have seen that bit of a turnaround, because then that to me tells me that public opinion is changing.
Right.
And without that public opinion change, we're all fucked, aren't we?
Right. Yeah. Because that's always the big struggle, is getting everybody else to understand that we're not trying to sell stuff to kids. We're not trying to, we're not doing anything dangerous.
Yeah.
And we're not getting cancer from vaping. And because everybody that is against smoking, they're very adamant that they're against anything going into your lungs and expelling anything that looks like smoke, because therefore it must be dangerous. So yeah, I mean that's a bit. If we could get that much of a shift in public opinion, I mean even for people that don't vape or don't smoke, then I mean it would help a lot if we could ever get that big push.
Definitely. And so I guess the final thing to say is now you're over here. You've been all around the country. You've seen different vapors, different styles of vaping. What do you think? Is there any difference between your perception of British vaping or UK vaping and what you've actually found out?
I do see a lot of black t-shirts. I see a lot of beards. I see a lot of baseball caps. So I think we have that in common. I have seen, kind of like what you were saying earlier, I see a lot more people doing a little bit higher nicotine. That, running across anybody even doing 6 is different, when everybody's usually doing 3. I haven't seen, no one has pulled out any crazy builds. Nobody's like, oh, look at this crazy, which those are great. I'm not knocking at Twisted Messes. All that stuff is great, but like I haven't seen a lot of that. It seems to be more like no one is trying to showboat anything, I guess. That vapors are just vaping, and everybody, even if somebody's blowing clouds or somebody's using a Nautilus tank or something, like everybody's still hanging out, and nobody's paying attention to what other people are vaping. I guess nobody's looking at that going, oh, that's crap, or that's nobody is doing that. Like everybody is very accepting of every type of vaping. So, which I mean, I think it goes back to the whole country just being super nice and super.
Well,
So yeah, it definitely seems very similar, but like I said, I think it's less of a niche. Like it's everybody sticks together. Like it's not, nobody's really breaking off into little elitist groups or anything like that. That everybody is kind of one big unit. Which we used to have, but it's I mean over time things grow, and and it's probably not necessarily the people, it could just be the amount of people that I mean, which is one of those things that we have a lot more people.
So. But I mean even with smoking, when we used to smoke, there would be, if you were like a Marlboro smoker and you saw someone with silk cut, I don't know if you had silk cut over in the States, but they're much softer. So if you're outside in a smoking area and you're smoking away and you're silk cut, and someone's got a Marlboro and someone's got a silk cut, you're like, oh, that's hardly worth smoking. What are you doing?
Yeah,
so
which is true.
There was a little bit of a kind of a split even then, I think, but a little bit of that, but luckily a lot of people are still cool. Just that you're not smoking and you are vaping. That's a cool thing. It's a very enlightening experience to be over here. And I mean, even aside from the vaping culture, just to experience another culture entirely, even though we are very similar. Because there's, I mean, and it's funny because it's just slight particular things that are different. Like, and it's great that everybody speaks English mostly. It's mostly English. Some words I don't understand, but for the most part, I would definitely do it again. I would definitely come over again. Anyway, brilliant. Thank you very much, my friend.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for having a good old chat, and make sure that you stay tuned for the rest of the vlog. Thank you very much. in from Vapefest now. We've got another couple of hours until we get home, and I'm still struggling with my final thoughts on it, to be honest with you. It was a strange event, and I'm going to have a little ponder on it on the next couple of hours until we get home. But yeah, it was, I think the expectation was more than it actually delivered, and I think that is, it's something that a number of people would say, but the social aspect on it was really, really strong. If you are kind of into that, I don't know, a certain type of vapor, I guess, or in certain Facebook groups or whatever else. But yeah, it was an interesting one. The weather certainly hasn't helped, and I think that's probably put a lot of people off as well. But now this is going to be a tough one for me to come up to a conclusion with as to whether it's actually any good or not, because I can't make up my mind. So that was it. That was Vapefest done, and I've got to say I've still not really made up my mind whether I liked it or not. I mean, with a lot of these things, I guess it's down to if you go there for the social, or if you go there for the products or the juice or the hardware or whatever else, and every sort of expo and event is very similar to that. But I don't know, is it just me, is it just my expectations, or is it, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, socially, it was great fun. It was great to meet up with people and have a laugh and a chat and a couple of beers. But no, I mean, we didn't go crazy on the partying on this one either. But it was, I don't know. I'm pretty sure from the social side of things, if you knew people and you're into vaping already, I think it went down really, really well. I do think though, there weren't that many traders there. There didn't seem as many as there were last year, and yeah, I'm not entirely sure I'm going to go again, to be honest with you. But it is what it is, and I think quite a few people still had a jolly good time. So that's what it's all about at the end of the day, isn't it? Just going out there and having a laugh. And don't forget, it's not about what's there, it's about who you're with, or it's about how much fun you can make, or what new friends you make when you're in an event like that. And I think that's the most important that we can take away from that. I think it really is. Life lesson learned.